Good day, everyone. Ruth here. For today's topic, we will discuss the sacrament of matrimony. Across the world, people from different countries, cultures, and languages dream of finding and marrying the perfect person whom they will spend the rest of their life. We all know marriage is a legally and socially a function between a man and a woman. Human laws, rules, cultures, and traditions have regulated it. There are different kinds of marriage or union which depend on your religion, even in Christianity. Christianity has emphasized the spiritual nature and disability of marriage. Jesus Christ spoke of marriage as instituted by God, and most Christians consider it a permanent union based upon mutual consent. Some Christian churches count marriage as one of the sacraments, and some confirms the sanctity of marriage but do not identify it as a sacrament. Catholic marriage is one of our sacraments. The sacrament of marriage or holy matrimony is a public sign that one gives oneself totally to the other person in public statement about God, that the loving union of husband and wife speaks of family and God's value. So before we pop up the question and say I do, can we first see what sacrament of marriage is about for us Catholics? The definition of the word marriage, or more accurately, the understanding of what the institution of marriage properly consists of. The controversy involved the cultural traditions, religious belief, legal rulings and ideas, fairness, and basic human rights. But for us Catholic, marriage is about the two people. It's about the two people being united in the presence of God. Marriage is an intimate community of life and love established by the Creator and endowed by Him with its moral laws. God Himself is the author of marriage. Having a vocation of marriage is written in the very nature of man and woman as they came from the hand of the Creator. The marriage covenant is a relationship between husband and wife, a permanent union of persons capable of knowing and loving each other and God. Marriage is more than a romance and more than a legal contract. For the church, there is something more. St. Paul declares the two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery. The sacrament of marriage is a visible sign instituted by Christ to give grace. The sacrament of marriage means the couple signifies God's love. We Catholic believe it is a vocation, a call from God to love, to honor, and live in union with one person for life, just as God calls. Some to the priesthood for religious life. He calls some to the priesthood for spiritual life. He called couples to follow Christ through marriage, meaning Jesus invited them to the wedding and the marriage. The marriage represents Christ's love for the church. The ordinary day-to-day of couple points to a greater reality where Christ is present. It leads to greater unity in love. Marriage has always been around the world, nor how everyone says it today. Civil marriages are performed by the government officials and recognized by the government as legally binding union. But what marriage means varies from couple to couple. They can be part of traditional religion or not. All civil marriages can be recognized as legal, and Catholic believe God can be present in all circumstances. Marriage is considered valid. The rite of the seventh sacrament consists of the materials used and actions performed, which constitutes the matter, and the words pronounced, which constitute the form. Matter and form are the sacrament of what the man in a purchase agreement or contract to buy a house. These two elements, money and contract, are the minimum conditions for a legal act and allow the transfer of things from one owner to another. Sacraments work similarly. Matter, the material or tangible element, is the substance through which the sacrament act take place, while form, or formula, words or prayers, conveys the meaning of these two elements, establish a sacrament validity that is the legal ownership. Sometimes the sacramental matter is a material substance like water for baptism or bread and wine for the Eucharist. Sometimes matter is a spiritual act like the act of a penitent in confession or the consent in the couple in matrimony. In either case, the matter is something real, something tangible, how the sacramental action takes place. Regarding form in the sacrament of matrimony, do the minister act in their name when they minister the sacrament to each other? I take you to be my wife or husband. Matter in the sacrament of matrimony is the mutual consent of the couple and their promise to live together as husband and wife in a long union. Form, the form I take you, spoken as a vow, or I do, express an affirmation of the vow told by the representative of the church. The ordinary ministers, or the baptized man and woman who can consent, such as bishop, priest, or deacon, plus two witnesses, is also required for a valid marriage of two Catholics. Catholic marriage must have the following elements. Couple. This man and woman marching in the aisle signifies God's presence in us. The bride wears white and the groom wears the best he can be, because both are the sign of Jesus in our Christian community. The symbol they extended into the word yes. The yes is not altered by the couple. The first one to say yes is Jesus. He said yes to us even before we were born and conceived in our mother's womb. One man and one woman must enter the marriage freely. The spouses must be free to marry. For example, this cannot be auditions that would get in the way of this freedom. You can be closely related to your fiancé and cannot marry if you're already married or bound by other vows. So a priest can marry you but can't marry you. Consent. We both give their consent. They must be free from other vows, ties, and choose each other on their own without pressure from anyone. Consent to live out the church means by marriage, namely a covenant. A covenant means to marry for life, be faithful to one another, and be open to children. Marriage is a lifelong commitment. It is the couple pledged to grow through hard times and good times. Together, do the work of growing with and toward each other as they age. Vows. The vows are essential because they make the couple officially married after they have said their vows. The last element is the exchange of vows that occurs publicly before a church minister, usually in a church. Catholic marriage is not just for the couple, but is a continuing sign of God's love for the community and the world. While the priest witnesses the marriage sacrament, the ritual occurs between the man and the woman. Their vows are made public as a sign to one another and the whole church community. Some examples of the vows are, as the priest said, do you take as your lawful wife or husband to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and cherish until death do you part. The couple we say, I do. So you cannot make personal promises later you will deny. It might sound highly romantic, if not impossible. Catholic Catholics knows the bar is set high. It is not a simple calling to live an ordinary life in such a way to be a sign of Christ's love for each other in the world. Unfortunately, it is different from the kind of thing you could have, but the requirements are not there to be a burden. At the same time, only some people live them out perfectly. They are there to ensure freedom and happiness for the spouses and their families, which is why the ideal Catholic marriage often contrasts the culture and norms around it. While empires rise and fall, civilization tend to change. The church teachings strive to stay in line with the teaching of the Christ and the early church. In the sacrament of holy matrimony, there are signs and symbols of such as ring. It has no beginning and no end. It always runs with no beginning and no end. Such as being loved by one another, it has no beginning, it has no end. It is the most significant measure of love is love without measures. The veil. It is always white, the color of purity, and even though two people are getting married, there is only one veil. This is symbolized unity. The first time we are dressed in white when we are baptized signifies a new beginning. Matrimony is like a new beginning. The couple dresses in white start a fresh new beginning. The veil covers the head of the woman, and the man is only on the shoulder, because they are only one body. There's only one head, the husband, because a body with two leaders is a monster. The wife must respect the headship of the husband as Christ as the head of the church. Cord The cord of a yokel is like a cord of the animal. For example, the carabao and the cow used to plow the fields. If you put yoke on yourself, you will feel its weight because it is heavy. Such is love and married life. Sometimes it is heavy and burdensome, but we can look forward to a life of bliss and blessing because those who believe in love and live in God. Sometimes looking at your wedding picture is no longer exciting, but brings excited tears to our eyes. When that sometimes, let us remember that life can be a cross to carry, but is light and bearable, because Jesus will take it for us. Ari, in the Philippines, the man and the woman are given an ari by the priest. It is a coin, a sign of prosperity. It will be put in the groom's hand, and the bride will receive it as a symbol of prosperity coming from God. That is why the groom should remember that when you are at the altar, you are the sign of God's love, the love of Christ for the church. Sadly, there are also ways to be divorce impediments to marriage. However, Catholic relationship can be complicated. It is essential to treat those who have experienced difficulty in marriages with kindness and good heart. Like Jesus would. As Catholic, you should know that divorce is not a sin, but should keep a divorcee Catholic from receiving the sacraments. A divorcee or separated person is not excommunicated and still a Catholic in good standing. The only reason for excommunication after divorce is remarriage, without going through the annulment process. There are documentary procedures used to process marriage nullity petition which allege the presence of an impediment of marriage. According to Merriam-Webster, impediment comes from a Latin verb that means to interfere or to get in the way of progress. Documentary cases are also judicial cases. This is decided by a judge without his having to follow the more solemn procedure proper of the deficiency of consent cases. In fact, to the existence of one or more documents which prove the presence of a diriment impediment at the time of consent, the law prescribes a shorter process. The condition is that the documents in questions are not subject to any contradiction or objections, and there is certainty that no dispensation for impediment was given. Age is one of the divorce impediment to marriage. If the party is under required age, a marriage between a Catholic and a non-Catholic, the age limitation also applies to the non-Catholic party. Impotence must be perpetual. Any previous marriage by either party wishing to marry must be declared null. Invalid unless a dispensation is granted by the local ordinary. Holy orders, the deacon, priest, or bishop, perpetual vow of chastity, such as for monks or religious sister, or consecrated life, abduction, if the contracting marriage has been abducted. Consanguinity, the relationship between, for example, a father and a daughter or a grandparent and a grandchild is known as a direct line of consanguinity. Marriage is always prohibited in a direct line. Collateral line or consanguinity. Marriage is prohibited up to and including the fourth degree. On the collateral line. Affinity, this refers to the direct line whereby the two persons are not related by blood but are legally related as the result of a valid marriage. For example, a woman may not marry her stepfather or her mother's stepfather. There is no impediment of affinity in the collateral line. Additional is the public propriety. Calculated on the basis of valid marriage situation, the impediment of public propriety is based on cohabitation. If it is publicly or notoriously known that the two people live together, marriage is prohibited only in the direct line and only in the first degree. For example, a man may not marry the daughter of his female partner, born to her from previous liaison. Adoption, who are legally related by reason of adoption, cannot be valid marriage. Each other of their relationship is direct line or in the second degree of the collateral line. For example, if a married man and a wife adopt a daughter, the man may not marry its adopted daughter, sister, nor of course his adopted daughter. In my conclusion, sadly, divorce is an ordinary reality in our culture. We hope the Church holds up the ideal and strives to serve those who have experienced divorce with love and compassion. Catholic marriage is bound until the death of a spouse. Catholic marriage does not end with civil divorce. However, it may be eligible for an annulment under certain circumstances. Annulment is the official declaration of nullity from the church tribunal, meaning the marriage never truly existed in the first place. At least, in the Catholic sense, you could have a wedding, kids, house, a dog, and even shared toothbrush. But one of the four essential elements was missing when you made your vows, even though you might not have known it at the time. This is sad, but also points to the importance of those elements in making Catholic marriage beautiful. It means saying yes to loving God and your spouse with your heart, mind, body, and soul. It implies a witness to a fidelity, openness to life, and God's call to love and honor one special lifelong part in the way God intends from them to love. When the man and woman marry, their commitment should be to be saints together and make their children saints with them. The call for matrimony is a vocation of God. The calling of being priest or a nun, some are called to be husband and wives. We all have different calling from the Lord, but we only have one vocation. To be holy because holiness is the call for all of us. Let us pray for the married couple who followed Jesus, embraced the path of holiness. Thank you and have a great day.